What's up, y'all? It's GC Kinsey here to compare and analyze the way I sang Speechless by Lady Gaga pre-T versus 2.5 years on T.
Speechless, you've left me speechless, so speechless.
I am a long-time Little Monster, and Speechless has been one of my favorite Lady Gaga songs since she released it on my 22nd birthday, and for context, I am now 38. I used to perform Speechless at live shows, both as this Lady Gaga impersonation comedy act thing I did called the Parody Monster.
I'll never talk again. Oh boy, you left me speechless.
And also as myself.
I'll never love again. Oh friend, you've left me speechless.
So when I decided to make a pre-transition vocal recording of Speechless for posterity, I did an acoustic version, playing the piano and singing it all in one take, the same way I'd always performed it on stage. Thankfully, the line-in for my keyboard and the microphone for my vocals were on two entirely different tracks with no bleed-over sound, so I could use that same piano track to make an updated vocal recording at 2.5 years on T, pitched down to a lower key, of course. Full disclosure, I did not record those vocals all in one take to simulate a live show. I did them the usual studio way where I got multiple takes and then edited the best parts together. That said, I had a limited number of takes in me because I made that recording about 2 weeks post-op from top surgery. I had just been cleared to ditch the post-op binder. I had to sit at the mic because I didn't have the energy to stand for that long yet, but I had been through some things, both personally and politically, during the fall of 2024 that left me absolutely speechless, so I was itching to get back to this song. Anyway, as a result of all those circumstances, both of these recordings are a little less polished, a little more rough around the edges than what I would normally post, and I love that. I think it'll add a layer to this analysis too, because I won't just be talking about the differences in vocal range or delivery, I'll also be talking about the differences in imperfections, which are the kinds of things that can make a vocal performance so special. So let's dive on in and listen to these recordings, starting with the pre-T version.
I can't believe what you said to me last night. We were alone. You threw your hands up. Baby, you gave up. You gave up. I can't believe how you looked at me with your James Dean glossy eyes, in your tight jeans with your long hair and your cigarette stained lies. Could we fix you if you broke? And is your punchline just a joke? I'll never talk again. Oh boy, you've left me speechless. You've left me speechless, so speechless. And I'll never love again. Oh friend, you've left me speechless. You've left me speechless.
So this starts out quite soft, and it stays that way through most of this first verse and chorus, which allows the rest of the song to build. And I took my cues from Mother Monster herself for that. She would often take a similar approach whenever she performed acoustic live versions of this song with just her and a piano.
I can't believe what you said to me last night. We were alone. You threw your hands up.
I played around a good bit with vocal textures in this opening as well, like weaving in and out of breathiness here.
I can't believe what you said to me last night. We were alone.
And here.
Baby, you gave up. You gave up. I can't believe.
Shifting back and forth between mixed voice and pure head voice here.
Could fix you if you broke.
And adding touches of vocal fry, here on the word eyes,
With your James Dean glossy eyes.
and here on the word oh.
Oh boy, you've left me speechless.
I also went into full chest voice right here on the words again, oh friend.
And I'll never love again, oh friend.
Which, yes, while that does effectively create a big dramatic vocal moment, I also can't help but side-eye my past self like, why the heck were you using full chest instead of a mixed belt all the way up at a C5? It's kind of grating on the ears, and not just because of retroactive hindsight gender dysphoria. That said, I do like how I pulled all the way back to a very soft breathy sound on the next line for maximum contrast.
You've left me speechless.
Overall thoughts, this is a pretty decent vocal performance. But just like all the other pre-T recordings I've gone back and listened to, my brain now perceives this as a different person singing. Though at the same time I feel weirdly connected to it because of all the memories I have of performing this song live. It's a really, really odd dichotomy. Now let's compare that to 2.5 years on T.
I can't believe what you said to me last night. We were alone. You threw your hands up. Baby, you gave up. You gave up. I can't believe how you looked at me with your James Dean glossy eyes and your tight jeans with your long hair and your cigarette stained lies. Could we fix you if you broke? And is your punchline just a joke? I'll never talk again. Oh boy, you've left me speechless. You've left me speechless, so speechless. And I'll never love again, oh friend. You've left me speechless. You've left me speechless.
Alright, first thing I want to point out is not the obvious one of how my voice has dropped, it's the difference in my approach. I sang the pre-T version much more pop and sang this one much more rock. It's an intentionally crunchier, grittier vocal sound. So we're really comparing apples and oranges here. Even though this first verse and chorus are still soft, still kind of used as an introduction that lets the rest of the song build, there's no breathiness in the vocals here. So instead of the more obvious differences in vocal textures that we had in the pre-T recording, this one has much more subtle variances, achieved in different ways, like sighing out of the end of a line here.
You gave up.
Letting my voice break into a cry on this line here.
Fix you if you broke.
Using vocal fry a lot more frequently, sometimes in the same places as the first recording, like here on the word eyes,
With your James Dean glossy eyes.
and sometimes in different places, like here on the word joke.
Just a joke.
That line even has some really nice contrast between a very smooth mixed voice sound on the word just breaking into vocal fry on the word joke. And last but certainly not least, adding vocal distortion in a bunch of places, like here on the word cigarette,
And your cigarette stained lies.
or on the word aisle right here,
I'll never talk again.
and here.
And I'll never love again, oh friend.
And by the way, those chest notes sound so much better than the ones on the pre-T recording.
Love again. old friend.
The main difference was that pre-T, I thought I had to sing this song in the original key, whereas post-T, I felt free to put it in whatever key was most comfortable, something I also realized with my covers of My Immortal. But my chest voice technique was also significantly improving, because testosterone forced me to sing with less air pressure blasting through my vocal cords in order to avoid cracking, and that actually produces a nicer sound.
Love again, old friend.
So even though I'm not 100% satisfied with how these chest voice notes came out, like I could sing them way better now at 3.5 years on T, I still think it's cool how they're noticeably better than my pre-T technique. One last thing I'll point out before I move on is how much darker the resonance is in the post-T version, and that's more thanks to training than testosterone. You can hear that difference the most in these notes sung in mixed voice.
Could we fix you?
Could we fix you?
Alright, let's go back to the pre-T version and listen to some more.
I can't believe how you slurred at me with your half-wide broken jaw. You popped my heart seams, all my bubble dreams, bubble dreams. I can't believe how you looked at me with your Johnny Walker eyes. He's gonna get you, and after he's through, there's gonna be no love left to right. And I know that it's complicated, but I'm a loser in love, so baby, raise a glass to mend all the broken hearts of all my wrecked up friends. I'll never talk again. Oh boy, you've left me speechless. You've left me speechless, so speechless. And I'll never love again. Oh friend, you've left me speechless. You've left me speechless, so speechless.
Alright, this is where the song is really starting to pick up momentum. The tempo is faster, I'm singing it in full chest voice at a louder volume, I'm delivering the song with more attack through both the vocals and the piano, it's building and building and building. So there's not as much variance in the vocal texture in this verse. It's almost all chest notes sung in a hard, punchy way, if that makes sense. I'm using a lot of air pressure here to try to sound as heavy as possible. But the tone is almost entirely smooth. There's no distortion, there's only a hint of fry in some places like here on the word eyes,
With your Johnny Walker eyes,
and here on the word me.
you've left me speechless.
So this is definitely still giving pop as opposed to that more rock sound in the post-T recording. In fact, in some places the vocal delivery is almost too pretty to match the actual words I'm singing, like with the way I use vibrato on the endings of these lines.
With your half-wide broken jaw, you popped my heart seams.
But at the same time, there is still a good bit of brashness to the vocal tone because I'm going full force in chest voice. It works a little better on those highest C5s in this verse than it did in the previous one.
Raise a glass to mend all the broken hearts of all my wrecked up friends.
Even though it's still a bit grating. Also, I want to point out how I didn't take a breath between that line and the next one.
Raise a glass to mend all the broken hearts of all my wrecked up friends. I'll never talk again.
Those two lines are sung as one continuous phrase. The original song has space for a breath between them,
All my wrecked up friends, I'll never talk again.
but I didn't take it, which can be kind of a risk during a live performance, but here I think it worked out pretty well. Speaking of live performances, there's a giveaway that this was a single take, essentially live performance, which is that there's pitchiness here and there. For example, the word aisle on this line is slightly flat.
And I'll never love again.
Little imperfections like that can and will happen in live performances, even to the best of singers, especially if they're playing an instrument at the same time.
I'll never talk again. Oh boy, you've left me speechless.
So I think moments like that really lend a sense of authenticity to this recording. Okay, now let's get back to the post-T version.
I can't believe how you slurred at me with your half-wide broken jaw. You popped my heart seams, all my bubble dreams. I can't believe how you looked at me with your Johnny Walker eyes. He's gonna get you, and after he's through, there's gonna be no love left to write. And I know that it's complicated, but I'm losing real love, so baby, raise a glass to mend all the broken hearts of all my wrecked up friends. I'll never talk again. Oh boy, you've left me speechless. You've left me speechless, so speechless. And I'll never love again. Oh friend, you've left me speechless. You've left me speechless, so speechless.
Okay, so we've got the same sense of attack here, the same increased aggressiveness in the vocal performance as we had in the pre-T version. But I feel like the grittier rock approach I use here is not only more interesting to listen to, but also better suited to these lyrics. It definitely helped me tap more into the right emotions behind what I was singing. Right off the bat, I used some vocal fry to kind of grunt into the opening note.
I can't believe.
I didn't just land on the note like, I can't believe. No, it's, I can't believe. And I also played with vocal fry on the endings of lines. So instead of the nice, pretty pop vibrato I used to end this line in the pre-T recording,
With your half-wide broken jaw.
in the post-T recording, you get this.
With your half-wide broken jaw.
I want to compare one line that shows in particular just how much more on point the emotional delivery was in this post-T version. So here it is pre-T.
I can't believe how you looked at me with your Johnny Walker eyes.
And that's perfectly fine, but
I can't believe how you looked at me with your Johnny Walker eyes.
that is much more like it. At the time I recorded this, I remember feeling overall dissatisfied with where I was at using vocal distortion, especially in my chest register, because I was actively relearning how to do it. All the muscle memory I had of using distortion pre-T or even during my first year on T was utterly useless by the time I got to 2.5 years. Not to mention my voice was really unstable at that point. I'm still rebuilding that muscle memory for distortion even now at a year later, and my voice is nowhere near what I'd call stable yet, especially when it comes to distorted singing. But in spite of all that, there are a couple of key places in this recording where I really like how the distortion came out. And that's on the word love, both here
But I'm losing real love, so baby,
and here.
and I'll never love again.
I also, again, really like how much better my chest notes sound in this post-T recording
Raise a glass to mend all the broken hearts.
than in the pre-T recording.
Raise a glass to mend all the broken hearts.
So yeah, this version was a work in progress for sure, but there was still lots of good stuff going on. Alright, next I'm just going to play both versions of the bridge back to back because they're pretty short, but I remember singing them differently and I really want to get that direct comparison. So here we go.
And after all the drinks and the bars that we've been to, would you give it all up? Could I give it all up for you? And after all the boys and the girls that we've been through, would you give it all up? Could you give it all up
And after all the drinks and the bars that we've been to, would you give it all up? Could I give it all up for you? And after all the boys and the girls that we've been through, would you give it all up? Could you give it all up if I promised, boy, to you?
Yeah, okay, very different. So far, this is actually my least favorite part of the pre-T recording and my favorite part of the post-T recording. And that's not to say the pre-T version is bad, it's just, I don't know, missing something. I think because this was a single take recording and the bridge has some kind of weird chords and I was focusing really hard on getting all the right notes both vocally and on the piano, the emotional side of the performance suffered a little bit. Whereas in the post-T recording, it wasn't one single take and I wasn't playing the piano at the same time, so because I wasn't stressing about nailing the notes, I could really play around more with my vocal delivery and hone in on the right emotions. Like, just listen to the difference it made on this line where I used vocal distortion and slid off the last note into a sigh.
And after all the drinks and the bars that we've been to,
versus pre-T where I didn't do any of that.
And after all the drinks and the bars that we've been to.
The use of distortion plus the improved chest voice technique also makes a huge difference on any of the lines where I sing the words "give it all up." This,
would you give it all up? Could I give it all up for you?
Is so much easier on the ears than this.
Would you give it all up? Could I give it all up for you?
And that's even more apparent on those same words at the end of the bridge.
Would you give it all up? Could you give it all up?
Would you give it all up? Could you give it all up?
Now here's where things get super interesting. In the pre-T version, I sang the line, "If I promised boy to you," as written.
If I promised boy to you.
I also pulled back into a much softer mixed voice on that line, which I really like in contrast with the full chest belt on the previous line. But in the post-T version, I actually sang a little variation of the melody, which involved going up into pure head voice with this nice, soft, clean sound.
If I promised boy to you.
And that is why Testosterone is the best. It actually makes me like my head voice enough to play around with it. Alright, time to finish out the song, first with the pre-T version.
That I'll never talk again, and I'll never love again. I'll never write a song, won't even sing along. I'll never love again. So speechless, you've left me speechless. So speechless, will you ever talk again? Oh boy, why you so speechless? You've left me speechless. So speechless. Some men may follow me, but you choose death and company. Why you so speechless? Oh.
This final chorus starts off very soft, then goes back to full volume, all-out singing, which is where all that momentum that's been building up finally reaches its peak and then pulls back to an even softer sound at the end. So this whole arrangement has really been like a roller coaster of dynamics, with the music swelling into a big sound for the most dramatic moments, and then going back to a softer sound for contrast. I've already talked about how using a full chest belt all the way up at C5 ain't it? And that's the most apparent on this part of the song, so I won't make you listen to those notes again. But I do want to point out one thing, which is that this final chorus is the only place where I put a little bit of distortion into that belt.
Won't even sing along. Will you ever talk again?
Even though this is a cleaner, more pop vocal performance, I think that bit of distortion works because this final chorus is the climax of the song and I'm already singing as loud as I can, so I need something other than volume to oomph it up here. I also want to talk about how I pulled back from that full chest belt to the very soft ending because it was deliberately smooth and gradual. Right here on the word speechless,
So speechless, yes.
I went from a hard, piercing chest voice to a much softer mixed voice, which I kept using until I let it slide into a very quiet breathiness here.
But you choose death and company.
And that gradual winding down set me up nicely to end the song with the same kind of vocal tone I'd used at the beginning.
I can't believe what you said to me. Why you so speechless? Oh.
Now let's see how I ended things in the post-T version.
That I'll never talk again, and I'll never love again. I'll never write a song, won't even sing along. I'll never love again. So speechless, you left me speechless. So speechless, you ever talk again? Oh boy, why you so speechless? You've left me speechless. So speechless, some men may follow me, but you choose death and company. Why you so speechless? Oh.
Okay, cool. So this has a similar ebb and flow of dynamics as the pre-T ending, but the softer notes here are quiet without being breathy. So just like at the beginning of the song, we don't have breathy versus full voice sounds. All the variance in vocal texture comes from other places. One place is the shift into pure head voice here.
And I'll never love again.
In the pre-T recording, I also sang the word love as a head note,
And I'll never love again.
but you don't hear that distinctive flip up into my head register there the same way you hear it in this post-T recording,
Never love.
which is an indicator of heavier vocal weight. The other, more obvious place where we get that variance in vocal texture here is through the use of distortion. In the pre-T version, the final chorus was the only place I used distortion, but in the post-T recording, I'd been using it throughout the whole song, so this final chorus uses it even more, like here.
I'll never write a song, won't even sing along.
Here,
Why you so speechless?
and here.
You choose death and company.
There's also some nice compression or squeezing of the vocal tract to create a bit of fry here.
So speechless.
Just like both of the other choruses, the full chest belt in this final chorus sounds so much better here than it did pre-T. At the ending, we don't have that same gradual fade from a full chest belt to a soft breathy voice, but what we have instead is another little register flip from chest voice to mixed voice here on the word speechless,
Why you so speechless?
followed by a return to chest voice here.
Oh.
So yeah, a very different approach to the ending, but it's one I like better overall, just like with the rest of the song. Not only does this post-T recording sound more like me, but I think that rougher, more rock approach lends itself better to the emotions of the lyrics. However, I want to know what you think, so here's where I'm going to wrap this up and ask you to let me know your opinions, thoughts, questions in the comments. You can listen to the full recordings of both of these versions of Speechless on my channel. I've put the links in the description. I've also linked to some videos of my past live performances of Speechless, and I've linked to a playlist of all my other vocal analysis videos like this one. If you want to reach out to me on other social media, I'm GC Kinsey across all platforms, and while you're here, feel free to check out some of the other cool stuff I've got on this channel, including cosplay music videos, cosplay tutorials, vlogs about my experiences as a queer person, resources for singers about voice changes on testosterone, and more. And make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss anything new. With that, thank you for watching, thank you for your support, I hope you enjoyed this nerdy deep dive, and I will see you on the next one.
So speechless. Oh.